Hello, hello, hello. I am so excited to have you joining us for another episode of the Quintessence of Leadership. And today is actually very, very special to me because I have my mentor, the woman who really, as I exited my previous biopharma company, and I was saying, what's next, right? Because I'm a woman in STEM. I know that clinical realm is not where I belong anymore, but where is it? How do I utilize my skill set in biopharma and in biology and loving the brain? How do I bring it together? And then it was like God was listening because he dropped this woman. I mean, this being, this divine soul into my timeline. I don't even know how I found her, y'all. And I was like, that's it. And so Shonté has just been an amazing mentor, a cheerleader, a confidant, and just supporter who has become a friend. And that is just the beauty of when you walk in this space, when you walk in your calling, when you walk in the mantle that has been given to you. It's amazing how these opportunities present themselves. So, like I said, today is special. And let me tell you something else too, friends. Shonté does not always say yes. This woman is so rich and so prophetic and so just very clear on who she is in her spirit. She is diligent and honors her time and her energy. So this is a special treat today, and I do not take this lightly. So we're going to gather some insights, some nuggets, and all of that yummy stuff from Shonté today, and then we are going to release her to do what she does best, and that is support humanity and help us to really see things from a space that is sometimes uncomfortable. So with that, Shonté, welcome, welcome, welcome. This is such a treat, and I'm so glad you're here. Thank you. Thank you.
Oh my goodness, Alicia. That's the best introduction, heartwarming,
Mm,
spiritual,
mm.
friendly, sisterly, professionally I've ever heard. Thank you for that.
You're welcome. You're welcome.
I'm
Yeah.
so glad to be here. And it's always a yes to you, Alicia. So
Mm,
some people
mm.
always get a yes immediately.
Thank you. Thank you. So, I mean, ladies and gentlemen, those joining us live, those joining us on the replay, I want you to understand you are in for a treat today because Shonté Jovan Taylor, I call her Dr. Shonté because she's not that far from her doctorate, is a phenomenal neuroscientist. But what I love about Shonté's work is she empowers the minds of others, right? She empowers you to do your thinking. She empowers you to do your best work, whatever realm you're in, educator, teacher, coach, consultant. I mean, Shonté runs the gamut. So she empowers leaders to lead in their specific realms of genius. She understands she only has so much capacity. And that's something that I want to start this conversation off with, Shonté, is that I learned a lot from you in that space. Because I will never forget when I was meeting with you, you said, Alicia, you're making me tired. You are continuing to create, create, create. I want you to bring that in. I want you to walk in your realm of genius. What are you called to? So you really caused me to bring my brain into alignment with who I am and not be here, there, and everywhere, and to really bring my brain, my prefrontal cortex, right, into walking and creating what I have been called to do in the world. So let's just start with that. We are in this season of a lot of challenge
Mm.
of what this world is. We're facing higher prices, we're facing tariffs, we're facing leadership that does not look like a leader. We are facing so many things in this world, Shonté, that we've got to be very clear on where it is we're called to utilize our gifts and our voice and our presence. So, how do you navigate that in your own personal and professional life with that level of clarity and that level of yes and that level of no, so that your brain is functioning at its the highest level, right? As optimized. As you run the Optimind Institute, how do you optimize your own energy and your own self?
That's a loaded question. And that's why I've been training on this very topic, helping you all to navigate it on this level, because I've seen it coming. And the only reason why I've seen a lot of this, what's happening, coming, I kept saying humanity is at a precipice. We need more conscious, ethical leaders, because the way they are showing up in these spaces, making these decisions in these companies, in the political sphere, in the governmental sphere, directly affects every one of us and our planet, our home.
Yes.
And so my alerts, my antenna were up for the last decade when I left the clinical world to start gifting the knowledge of neuroscience to everyone, because the brain is a universal instrument, tool, technology. It's a universal language that when people learn about it, they can speak on it and navigate through it.
Yes.
And start being more intentional about leading their own brains so that they can contribute intentionally and effectively, morally, ethically, compassionately to others in their realm of influence.
Yes.
We are all leaders, whether we have the official title or not. We are always shaping and influencing other people's brains subconsciously and consciously. So everyone needs to take on the mindset of being a leader and stop outsourcing it to others who never have had certain people best interest in mind. And we're at a time where everything is kind of being exposed.
Yeah.
And people are being blatant on how they've really always felt.
Yes.
About other human beings.
Yes.
And about what's their priority. And so everyone, as a leader, especially as leadership that should be ethical.
Yes.
Has to really find those moments and start really reevaluating their values, their morals, their pattern of character, their behaviors, their habits, their unconscious habits, their biases, their unconscious biases. Start taking inventory.
Yes.
Because until we deal with ourselves individually as leaders, we're going to keep seeing what we're seeing in these spaces, whether it is in the government, in politics, in these companies, in our communities, on our school boards, in our homes. This is the time. We're at another precipice. Whenever something happens that's major, and I don't even know if I'm answering your question.
You are.
How my brain works, when something major or even minor or medium happens, it's like a gear. Those gears in like one of those old grandfather clocks?
Yes. Yes.
It's another gear that has shifted. And, the time changes, right? There's a time point, something is rippling through the nation, through the universe, through the world. And we're kind of all contributing to these gears turning. And
Yes.
sometimes the gears are turned on a major, cycle, and sometimes it's just a notch. Sometimes it's a micro moment. But
Right.
that's kind of how my brain kind of
I love
sees it
that.
visually,
I
that
love that.
we're on a trajectory,
Mm-hmm.
but we still have time to
Mm-hmm.
reassess, to readjust, to
Yeah.
reevaluate if we truly
Mm-hmm.
want to move towards a better, higher humanity. Because if we don't do it at the individual level, I cannot sustain being optimistic
Yeah.
as
Yeah.
a leader myself.
You know what, Shonté, you said a whole word there. We have to take responsibility and ownership. It's not them, right? When you say, oh, they'll do it, they'll fix it. We've outsourced. I love how you said that. We have outsourced our leadership, our responsibility, our ownership. And I've even seen I've even had to check myself, right? Because as you said, it starts with you. It starts with me as an individual human. Then we can go out, right? And then we can affect different conversations. We can affect change. We can affect a different thought process. But it starts with you. And so many of us have outsourced, and we've looked to other people to be, oh, they'll fix it. They'll be our hope. That individual we voted for, that individual, we've got to cease that conversation, and we've got to change it rightfully. Look within. We've got to change the dialogue. Now is the time. Now is the time for ownership. Now is the time to take stock. Now is the time to say, what can I do? There's no longer the opportunity to sit on the sidelines if we want to really create a world where our children, grandchildren, nieces, nephews, friends, parents can have a level of opportunity, because things are changing rapidly. I mean, rapidly going downhill. And I want to talk a little bit. You talked about biases. And, Shonté, you were one who, when I started really learning more about the brain and about the biases, right? Because I was that person that used to say, oh, I see color. Yeah, we all see color. Okay, stop it. Stop.
I
Because
love your voice. I love how you went into character just now.
yes, we have to change characters, right? I didn't see color. We're all the same. We're my sisters and brothers. And you were like, ma'am, we all see color. Like, it's okay to, right? There was almost this, we saw it as wrong. And you helped me to understand the beauty of recognizing the differences, the nuances, the quirks that each of us have, right? How you said your brain works in as gear shifting. I could visualize that, right?
Mm-hmm.
How my brain works differently. So, Shonté, as we are in this space where there is opportunity for each of us to take ownership of what we're experiencing, what are some of the things that you can share with those listening? That where do we start, right? Sometimes it's like we hear these things and it's like, yes, emotional intelligence is wonderful. Yes, we start taking stock, we look within. But what does that look like? What is step number one, Shonté, that people can do that can begin to start showing them a revelation of the inside of themselves from a space of honesty? I love what you said about values, morals, mission, all of that. But as we said, it starts from that self-reflective space. Where do they start?
Yes, that's a great question, an important question. So if leadership starts with self, if it starts with the individual,
yeah,
then that means we need more self-awareness about ourselves to make the macro and micro adjustments. And self-awareness, people may consider it just a platitude, like more self-awareness. It's kind of like the terms mindfulness and meditation, it's kind of a mainstream pop culture term now. But when you look at it from a neuroscientific lens, because I like to use, it's okay for these terms to be pop culture. I welcome it. That means now it's a part of the culture. These terms that have not been a part of the culture, but they're very important for our development as human beings. So I like to take the existing neural pathways of knowing something like self-awareness, meditation, mindfulness, leadership, and add to those existing neural pathways, because the brain likes to optimize energy. And as we're adults, right, it doesn't want to create new neural pathways from the bottom up. It wants to use its mental energy purposefully. And a way to do that is to add to existing neural pathways that have already been established, because that makes sense to the brain to use precious mental energy for something like that will add value to your existing neural networks that make up your genius and your strengths. So let's do self-awareness, shall we? We need more self-awareness. And the rabbit hole goes really deep on that subject line when you look at it from a neuroscientific lens. But self-awareness requires something that this world is socially engineering, which is distraction. This culture is socially engineering, trying to hijack your attention so you don't have time to pay attention to the needs of yourself, to listen to the needs of yourself, to get quiet, to do the things that will increase self-awareness, like meditation or mindfulness or writing down your thoughts or sitting quietly in nature. All of those things will help you tune in to self and understanding of self and regulating your mind, regulating your thoughts, regulating your nervous system. If your nervous system is constantly being triggered because your attention is hijacked, because they are socially rewarding you for staying on platforms with all this random and intentional stuff, then the probability of you reaching self-awareness to do the things we talked about, staying focused on your genius and your tasks, your projects, your reevaluating your characters, your characteristics, your value system, your morals, especially in this moment. If you don't have time for that because your attention is hijacked and you're dysregulated, then you're not going to get to the level of self-awareness that needs to be reached in this moment to do your most important work in this moment.
Wow. Woo, girl, so I have chills. Like, that was powerful, because there's a design prompt behind what we're experiencing. There is a strategy for distraction. There's a strategy because there's benefit. If there's no benefit, there's no strategy to make something happen. So there is benefit to keep us divided. Let's just call it out. There's benefits in keeping us divided. There's benefits in keeping us distracted, because then we can't operate in our highest zone of impact. As you're saying, we can't touch that piece of ourselves that is almost, I'm seeing almost a zenith, a pinnacle, right, of who we're called to be in this world, because each of us is here for a purpose. It's not a mistake that we're born in this time, right? It is not a mistake for such a time as this that we exist. And so when we cannot tap in fully to that existence strategy that is beyond even our understanding, because it is extremely divine, my friends, it is not a mistake. So when you're pulled from that place of centering with who you are, what you're here to do, then you don't get to be that person you were born to be. And so many people have come to the end of life and never experienced the fullness and the gifting that was to be exuded through them to share with this world, to increase this world's genius, I'll say, to increase humanity, to be that gift to humanity. And I want to point out that Shonté, I love how she moves, even with her email, right? Like we get dopamine hits when we have an email ding, or we see, ooh, new email, ooh, a new Slack notification, ooh, new Instagram, ooh, new Facebook, ooh, dopamine hits, right? Because it's like, ooh, we're important, we're important. Let me tell you how Shonté operates that I absolutely love. And I'm taking this into the new year with me. She's very clear on how she moves, even with responding to her emails. She's very clear about even DMs on said platforms. She's very clear with her time and her energy. Because I'm going to tell you something about Shonté. When she walks in, there is a presence. It's not crass. It's not, oh, I'm Shonté the neuroscientist. Hear me sing, hear me roar, right? Like there is something that exudes from her, because I will venture to say is because she does take that time. She does take that time for mindfulness. She does take that time for real self-reflection, not just, oh, I self-reflected today for 5 minutes, right? It is a part of her practice. It is a part of her understanding at a very deep level who she is, what makes her tick, and what she just does not stand for any longer.
Boundaries.
But that allows her to tap in, friends, at the highest level to her brain, to not bring extra burden onto her brain, to burn herself out. And so those tactics you shared, Shonté, about really that nature, that mindfulness, that level of blocking out the disruption, boundaries, is so important. And I don't think we speak about it enough. And I'm even to that space. I just love this dialogue because everything is so aligned that I'm moving off of some platforms because I'm being very careful as what I'm bringing into my reality, into my gates, into my nervous system, because I feel a level of anxiousness even in my own nervous system, and I'm not here for it anymore. So I thank you for bringing the words to that, because I'm like, that's it. And so I'm very happy that I'm taking steps to move myself out of certain dashboards so that I can move in that zone of impact that I'm called to, that I can really tap into. Because what I have found, friends, and please join me in this if you found this to be, when you really give yourself that space to know who you are, doors open that you didn't even know existed. Because it is the bigness in you, the greatness that is now having the opportunity to emit that it's such a gift.
Let me say two things before I forget. Yes. The first thing is the social engineering of our attention to dominate it, to keep us triggered and buying stuff and whatever their agenda is.
Right.
It keeps us in this moment of time. It keeps us. We're not present, but we're in the present. Whatever's being fed to us in the moment, which is not quality presence, right?
Yes.
And the reason why I'm bringing that up is because if we're stuck in the present moment, not intentionally, not mindfully, but because we're hijacked, that means we are not in the space to allow for imagining a different future. And it takes your genius and self-awareness to be able to imagine other possibilities so we can get there collectively. Yes. And let me just talk about the collectiveness, because that's important. we have to realize that we are responsible for each other's well-being. We're responsible for each other's nervous systems. We are responsible for each other's brains. You just talked about powerfully how you are recentering yourself, being more mindful on how you show up in the world and what you allow into your mental feed.
Yes.
Because you felt the need, you're responding, you're recognizing, you're self-aware that these feelings are not empowering you to be in a state of stress and anxiety and nervousness and uncertainty.
Yes.
Neuroscience shows that when leaders are stressed, when they have anxiety, when they are holding back on truths, if they're not revealing all that needs to be said, we know in neuroscience studies that people can pick up on those subtle nonverbal cues that you think you're hiding as a result of you holding back or saying untruths or hiding the truth, because your body language speaks before you even start talking.
Come on.
And while you are talking, so these studies show that people who suppress their true emotions, their authentic thoughts, their authentic emotions, if they're lying, I mean, you can suppress your true ideas and authenticity because you got to, play the game in these spaces.
Right.
But there's also people who intentionally try to hide their emotions, their anxieties, the truths. If you're just trying to suppress whatever, what I'm saying is studies know that other people can pick up on it subconsciously, if not consciously, but it doesn't even, let's put the conscious thing. I mean, you got to be really in tune with that. Okay. Yeah. Subconsciously, their mirror neurons are picking up on those micro nonverbal expressions of something is up.
Yes.
And also when they measured the physiological responses, the perspiration, the blood pressure of both the person who was withholding, using their prefrontal cortex to inhibit their words, emotions, the truth, their perspiration went up, their cortisol goes up, their blood pressure goes up, and the observer, same thing, their physiological regulation changes, their heartbeat, their blood pressure, perspiration, cortisol levels. So you think you're getting away with not showing up in your most powerful self, your most truthful self, your most honest self, your most authentic self, but you are not. And you are also affecting those around you. Now it's a ripple effect. You are passing on your subconscious lies, untruths, or inauthenticity, or anxiety, or uncertainties to other people. That's why leadership is so important. It's not to be taken lightly. Leadership is a serious role to be in because it affects more than you, good and bad. Yes, subconsciously and consciously. And we're Gen Xers, right?
Yes,
I was born. I'm 47, born at the tail end, 78. So I have got to witness certain eras of leadership. Like, when we're growing up, we don't really pay attention to big world things because we're kids and teenagers. But as you kind of get older, I mean, there's some things you kind of pay attention to, right? But when you become an adult and you start adulting and you start having more responsibilities, now you're kind of paying attention to the macro world,
Very true.
So just think about the recession, 2007. My family bought our first home, fresh out of grad school, and this recession hits, right? And so we saw then the unethical leadership of
Mm.
Wall Street and
Yeah.
the banks taking
Yeah.
advantage of people,
Yes.
and they got bailed out. So we've been in a leadership crisis, at least for the Gen X era. And I'm pretty sure
Yeah.
if we talk to our parents, grandparents, and they've shared some things, we've
Yes.
always had an ethical problem when it
Mm.
comes to leadership. So the pool of ethical leadership, of righteous leadership, of
Mm.
compassionate leadership, of
Mm.
empathetic leadership has been very small for a long time. So it's not that surprising that
Yeah.
we are here right now,
Right.
especially if we have, and I know we got to go,
That's okay.
especially
No.
if
Mm-mm.
we have the need in 2021, 22, up until now, we still need DEI programs. We still need specialty women programs, because to me, that still signals that Houston, we have a problem.
Yes. Yes.
So
Yes.
this leadership thing, that's why I'm saying everybody needs to become their strongest, ethical, moral,
Yeah.
righteous, empathetic leader, self leader as possible, because we are affecting other people's brains and their
Mm.
lives. If we
Mm.
pass on our own anxieties and uncertainties and untruths and all of that, they're going to take that in. Their nervous system is going to take that in as data.
Mm.
This is where we're at. This is where we're operating from. They're going to take it to their team. They're going to take it
Yes.
home. They're going to pass it to their kids and their husband. It's going to show up all over the place. And you just anxieties everywhere. You get anxiety and you get anxiety.
You know, oh my gosh, Shonté, that was really powerful. And I appreciate, what was coming to me is when you were talking about the timelines, right? The timelines. These are things that we have to be aware of. And how can we become self-aware of ourselves and the timelines if we're distracted, if we don't have the opportunity to really understand what this world has experienced, what it has looked like, but we're so quick to just ingest what someone feeds us with the hose instead of taking the opportunity, because we have the space, because we've given ourselves those boundaries, that we can say, let me look for myself, let me educate myself, let me equip myself with the necessary information so that I can utilize these powers to do good, so that I can then empower the brains of my children. I can empower the brains of those that I sit on the board with, and I can speak truth to power and not have to inhibit, as you're saying, with my prefrontal cortex, the truths that need to be spoken, right? And I don't have to be nasty about it, but I can be very matter of fact because it is the truth. And that is what we need more of. We need more truth speakers in this time. And
Yes.
thank you for that, because that was a whole word. And I want to bring back full circle to what Shonté said. Did you hear what she said about our mirror neurons, how it senses lies? It senses those micro pieces that you leave out. It's our brains are so powerful, consciously and subconsciously. So when you're showing up inauthentically, when your presence, when you're coming into somewhere and you don't feel like you belong there, it's felt. It's felt, and people engage with you accordingly. So I want you to understand, as Shonté says, your brain is the most beautiful technology ever created. And as I started studying it, learning more about it, empowering myself, empowering my children, talking about the amygdala, talking about the hippocampus, all of those things, those have become common conversations in our home. And understanding, yes, how we empower our brain for more. So I want to encourage you, you don't have to be a neuroscientist, right? To take some time to invest in yourself, to understand more about the greatest technology, understand how your amygdala, as Shonté was saying, gets hijacked, how our nervous system, how the cortisol begins to increase, and then how that begins to affect how you even show up for yourself, for your team, for your family. all the things. And then if we have billions of people in the world operating in that persona, we have divisiveness. We have people not coming together. We have untruths that are shared that people just take on as truth.
Mm-hmm.
So, Shonté, as we go, yes, please go. Yes,
you read me.
Yes.
And I just wanted to add real quickly to what you just said about, there's untruths and, this collective divisiveness, but we're also not fulfilling our purpose. We're also not spending time with meaningful moments.
Yes.
We're not finding the meaning in the things that we naturally gravitate towards.
Yes.
We're not discovering more of our strengths, more of our interests. We're not playing with our genius because our genius is put on, in the back room, because the front room, our full attention, is being dominated by these platforms intentionally. And we know that they have hidden data, they've hidden research on how these platforms affect our children's minds. So they know exactly what they're doing, and they are not being held accountable. They are not being fully truthful about it. And I mean, excuse my French, they don't give a damn about our children.
Yes.
So why would they care about us?
Yes, Shonté. So it's time, my friends, that this is the perfect conversation for heading into the new year, as you're making decisions that uplift you, that benefit you, that support you and your family and your leadership. This is what it means. Like all these terms that Shonté was saying have just kind of become pop culture. But this is what conscious leadership looks like. This is what empathetic leadership looks like. This, my friends, is what a leader embodies and takes ownership of, and doesn't play with their position as it is just, it's really, it doesn't matter. Anybody can be a leader. Well, Shonté said it, we all are leaders, so take it seriously. Take ownership of it. Move in it. Let's empower humanity to be better. So Shonté, as we're closing, what would you like to leave our listeners with?
Read more. That's what's on top of mind. I'm soaking up reading, not just to take back my own focus and attention, but for more truth, for more mental connections, to not outsource my own thinking and knowledge and abilities to put insights together, outsource it to AI or ChatGPT.
Right.
And we can't lose that. We have to, some leaders have to be the sages of knowledge, of understanding, of wisdom, and reading is essential. It's an essential piece to that foundation, and carrying it forward in our humanity to evolve our highest levels of humanity.
Thank you, Shonté. That's powerful. Read more. I am definitely doing that. I am now buying many more, books. I'm spending time in bookstores. I'm reconnecting to that part of me because, as you said, we're Gen X. We grew up Nancy Drew novels, all of those novels, those mysteries of the reading. I loved Danielle Steele. I loved it. So getting back to that, right? Because then, like you said, it brings together different opportunities for insights that you cannot find on AI. And I read something that AI is making us dumb. I was reading, it's making us dumb. We're just going to AI. No. Let's do some reading. Let's take some ownership. And
we're the go look it up society generation, right?
Encyclopedia Britannica.
And we have the volumes of the encyclopedias and dictionaries.
Yes.
We used to love spending time. That was our smartphone. but just
Yes.
spending time and going through encyclopedias. I mean, maybe not
Yes.
everybody, but
Yes. But
nerds.
we read, we played outside. You know, there were so many things that we had access to that is just not happening today. So, as Shonté was saying, read more. I'm saying go play more. Be childlike. Tap back in to that childlike part of you, right? That joy, that go outside and just put your arms side by side and turn in a circle, fall on the grass, you know, laugh at nothing and enjoy life. Get back in touch with what matters. Jump on the trampoline if you have one with your children. You know, just enjoy. Tap back in. Make time for those things. Make time, because I'm becoming much more intentional, as you were saying, Shonté, when we first started, with my time as well, with my joy. With my joy.
And
Yeah.
that regulates your nervous system so that you can become more resilient and your
Mm,
baseline of stress, is
mm,
stabilized so that when challenges do come your way and will come your way, you are operating at your most strongest, resilient, creative self.
yes. Thank you, Shonté. So with that, thank you all for joining us. You can please reach out to Shonté if you want to know more about the programs that she offers through the Optimind Institute. I'm sure she's on hiatus right now, but I'm sure her team will respond to you, let you know what's forthcoming, because I'm telling you, when you start to understand the power of the brain, it gives you freedom. And so I had gotten caught up. I had gone down the rabbit hole with all this that's happening this year. And I am coming back and I am enjoying the sunshine. I'm re-tapping into her teachings. And that is the beauty of coming into community. As Shonté said, the collectiveness. I have a family within the Optimind network, and I continue to tap in and remind myself joy resides on the inside of me. So with that, thank you, thank you, thank you for joining us. Learn more, just tap into Shonté's, just go follow her, learn more about her, learn more about the work she does in the world, because I'm telling you, it's extremely inspiring. And baby, when I say this woman speaks on stages that are changing minds, she speaks on stages. So check her out. And I look forward to hearing your feedback about her and about this conversation. So until next time. Bye. That's a wrap. Thank you so much for tuning in. If you found this video helpful, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. It really does help the channel grow. Do you have some thoughts, comments, questions as well? Drop them below. I'd love to hear them and actually respond to you as well. Don't forget to hit that little bell that you see, because it'll notify you next time any new opportunities are posted to this channel. So, thank you again. And until next time, remember, continue to build trust to transform, whether it's transforming your community, your home, your business, your workplace. Your voice is required. Looking forward to seeing you then. Bye.